Good morning, Soul Embodiment Tribe. Brigette Patton here with Soul Massages. I'm out in the horse pasture to see if the horses want to share in this message this morning. So we're talking about generational pain and trauma. Specifically, I'm referring to emotional pain and trauma. And so when we think about something being passed down, the first part of our understanding has to be the way that our emotions are stored within our body. And so our emotions are stored at a molecular level and a cellular level. And there's an actual chemical and hormones that are directly related to our emotions. And each one of our emotions are connected to our brain in some way so that we can recall very easily what this emotion is communicating to us. It's the one part of us that we are able to bring with us through any lifetime, really, because our emotions are carried with us always. It's always inside of us, our emotions are. And so when we talk about the light being inside of us, we're also referring to, and I'm not going to get into all the separate pieces of this, but when we're talking about the light and the wisdom being inside of us, it really is truly passed down through our DNA and through our molecular structure. So when we have a painful experience for our survival and our instincts, those emotions are going to be stored inside of our body so that we can remember, so that we can easily react or respond to something that feels good or feels bad in the future. And so we mentally attach to that. Now, depending on what type of life experience you have had once you've been born into this body, that is going to determine whether or not you're going to be able to break that pattern. And the more consciously aware you are of your emotions and what you're feeling and what they mean, because we may think they mean one thing, but they actually mean something totally different. Our emotions don't mean what we think they mean. When we get our mind involved in the direction of our emotions, it really hinders our ability to make decisions and intuitively be guided through our reality. And so when we think about letting go of an emotion, we aren't actually letting go of the emotion itself. We're letting go of the attachment or our understanding of what that emotion means. These guys are cracking me up. And so when you understand that that is what the purpose of our emotions are, it's easy to understand how it gets passed down from generation to generation, because even when our grandmother has cells inside of her womb, we're already getting emotional intelligence passed down to us because of the cells that are already in her body. And same with the father, our grandfather. The sperm carries information that is passed to the egg. It's information that's passed between the egg and the sperm, and it gets carried into our cellular molecular structure. And those emotions are put inside of our body in a way that allows us to connect to our past, to our history. And so that's why past life experiences are so profound, and also why certain psychics and mediums and channelers are able to connect with those past lives within us when we get in the presence of them, and why they're able to communicate, and why it resonates so much, and why it can be so healing to let our mind accept and understand what those sensations in our body are trying to communicate to us. Now, once we are able to get that wisdom that was being passed down to us so that we can permanently shift the meaning of that energy, that's when we really evolve. That's when our consciousness truly expands, because now we're taking all of our experiences from this lifetime and we're literally reprogramming the way that emotions are understood, because we're taking our conscious mind and we're connecting with that sensation, that feeling, and we're taking an effort to reprogram it in a way that empowers us rather than a way that puts us in fight or flight energy. So if we're able to do that and we're able to connect and be able to take that energy and shift it, then now what ends up happening is you are free. You're free from that emotion. You don't stop feeling it, We always continue to feel all of the emotions in our body. They're there with us for a reason. We're just able to navigate through them and understand where they're guiding us, where they're pulling us, and what it is that we're meant to do when we feel those sensations. And when it comes to generational healing, that information is absolutely passed down to our children, just like it was passed down to us from our parents. And so when you make a conscious effort to shift the definition within your body, it automatically gets shifted to your offspring, because now you're walking around carrying what I like to call key codes. That means that you have the conscious awareness to respond to this energy when you feel it. And I'm talking about this energy, and I'm talking about our emotions. So when you feel that emotion or that sensation and you respond differently in front of other people, now you've also given them the key code activations to respond differently too. Now, not everybody responds to those by patting you on the back and celebrating. The ego likes to be hidden. The ego doesn't want to be exposed because that's our survival mechanism. So sometimes when you shine your light because you've set yourself free, that's a whole nother can of worms that gets opened up, because not everybody's ready to go there when they're afraid, especially when some trauma has been passed down. It could be from this lifetime, it could be from previous lifetimes. And when they get triggered, it isn't like they're just getting triggered from this lifetime, they're getting triggered from every lifetime before that. And so it's an explosion. It can be an explosion. And if you don't know how to navigate through that, it can cause a lot of damage within your relationships. And I'm not just talking about generational relationships now. I'm talking about in the workplace, in your love relationships, in, your friendships, and even other family members. And so what we do together is we create markers within those threads of energy, within those emotional threads, and we eradicate that negative perspective around it so that you can be free and you can navigate with freedom around your emotions. And that's why it's so important that we work together with people within the community, healers, coaches, guides, whoever you're drawn to, because we really do truly need each other. I know I talk about this in every video, but it just accelerates the process. It amplifies your power and ability to be able to navigate through these sensations, these emotions. They're only going to intensify. And I'm sure a lot of you guys felt the energy this last week. Boundaries within relationships really came up a lot. Being able to honor yourself no matter what. That's a really challenging thing that I see a lot of people experiencing. But the only way to heal generational hurt and trauma is to have the strength, and it's really truly mental strength, the mental and emotional strength to set boundaries. And those boundaries are really boundaries for yourself, and being able to respect someone else's boundaries when they're setting them and not taking it personally and not taking it on as your own hurt. And that can be something that's really challenging for someone who's empathic, not taking that energy along with you when you are triggering somebody. And that can be something that people really struggle with, because it's not easy to trigger somebody and then not carry it around with your mind and start, thinking about it when you fall asleep or waking up in the middle of the night. And could you have handled that differently? And what if you would have said this instead? And maybe they wouldn't have gotten triggered, and all of the things that our mind likes to do to try to figure it out. So what you and I do together is we tap into that intuition so that your mind can be taken out of the equation, so you can be set free from the emotional trauma that is weighing you down and preventing you from expanding and preventing you from having those deep, intimate relationships with all of the people around you. And so, yes, generational trauma and pain can absolutely be passed down and is passed down. It isn't an if, it is passed down. And it's up to all of us to have that conscious awareness, to be able to be mindful enough of what we're feeling in our body, to ask those questions. What is it I'm feeling? Why am I feeling this? What do I need to do about it? And so hopefully this message really resonates with you guys this morning and can give you a little insight into what's happening within those relationships and why we act the way that we do sometimes, even if it seems like it comes out of nowhere. People say that all the time. Something came out of nowhere. I don't know why this person acted like that. Well, we're actually being triggered a lot of the time from deep emotional wounds that were carried collectively from one lifetime to the next. So I hope that you guys have an amazing day. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.